Hi, and welcome to the Ovid podcast. Today we have a very special segment. We have with us Mr. Kanu Sankara, who is an Army veteran, motivational speaker, I would say, and he's a student of psychology, and he's a coach as well, right? His profession is a coach, and we're here to have an insightful conversation that's going to blow your mind. Let's welcome to the show Mr. Kanu Sankara.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Kanu, tell us about the background of your journey. Tell us the foundation.
All right. This is interesting. So I spent 15 years in the military. That is the foundation, my career. That was at one point my purpose, at least that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
And now I have moved on. I've turned a new chapter and I've gone into coaching, speaking, and anything that is along the line of psychology and personal development.
Fantastic. Now, this is something that I want to ask, and I want to throw it out one time, right?
All right.
We know how challenging that it is to be in business. How much people had said that you were insane and you were crazy and everything when you left.
So not many persons have came out and said that, hey, you are crazy. But I get the impression that here is this guy, and I'm speaking about myself in the second person. I am progressing in the military, and I just ups and leave. Like, who does that? And especially in this type of economic climate, who does that? But that is me.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that we were having a conversation before about I wanted to start this podcast like a whole year ago. And sometimes it's so much of a battle and so much of a journey to get to that starting point.
Yeah.
Like how did you feel knowing that this new chapter of your life could actually impact so many lives in such a positive way?
There's a quote that I came across that says, the start is usually what stops most people. And I felt that I knew it. It was a feeling deep inside that this journey that I'm going on, I have the ability to impact many others. Because I've seen my impact, the impact that I've made on the lives of soldiers. And I said, you know what? I can use that as a platform and push further and impact many others. So I saw it as a challenge, as in anything in life, but one that I was willing to accept.
Now, tell me something. Your background in terms of being within the military. What are the key takeaways that you think would have strengthened your personality from there?
Interesting enough, I always saw myself as an introvert. That was before the military. Being in the military, well, I was a leader in the military. So that meant that I had to step out of myself and lead men and women. And what that required was that sense of vulnerability, but also that sense of authenticity.
Yeah.
To be real with who I am, to get to know who I am. And it was based on those two things, as well as humility, that create that foundation for my sense of leadership. So out of the military, my sense of leadership has been greatly impacted.
Fantastic. Now, I know this is something that you would see, I see it all the time. I've been passionate about this from a very young age. I've always seen what we consider in Trinidad and Tobago to be wasted talent. To be people we see full of potential. They could go places. Even there was a young guy in my street from like primary school. The talent that he had in football was amazing. And we see all that because of fight and crime and bad behavior just quickly disappear. Tell me if One, if it is a CDC. Two, if you believe that it's a time to be able to turn around things and a time to impact, and as many persons that can come forward with this movement to actually change lives, that we're looking for that.
Yes, I've seen the same. I've experienced it being that person looking in. Where there are persons who I grew up with. They, I left them on the block. I went on to have a military career, and they are still there. So I've seen that, and even now, in terms of the crime rate, there are many young men with talent who are dying. And I think that now more than ever is that time for leaders to step up, leaders in the communities to step up. And I'm speaking about leaders who have that heart to help others to
Yeah.
progress in life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know that funny, we were talking about something that was like, I was talking about in the Bible says, let the greatest among you let them serve. Right? And I believe that we have so much persons who are in it to get that they don't understand the fulfillment of serving. Can you share a little bit about serving?
Sure. I actually built my military career, my leadership career, on that statement that the greatest amongst ye shall be the servant of all. I think that there are many persons who are in positions, leadership positions, and they think that leadership is position, that leadership is about what others can do for them,
Yeah.
what they can take. But leadership is about serving. Leadership is about giving. Leadership is about impacting. Leadership, as I see it, is in the sense that whenever there's an issue or an opportunity, or let's say where a team has failed, the leader steps forward. When the team succeeds, the leader steps back and put the team in the spotlight. So leadership is about service.
Yeah.
And not simply about being served. You are there to serve others and not to be served by the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me this other thing, right? We were talking before off camera about the perception of what you do in terms of the seriousness of being a motivator, being a coach. And we came across this conversation talking about in Trinidad and Tobago, and specifically, I think, within the region, we have this notion of foreign is better. And we could call 10, 20 names of motivational personalities and people who are mainstream media, impactful people. But here in the local context, there are few and far between who we could say, hey, I really tune in because I love this story. It's a local story, it's an authentic story, and I want to give this person the flowers. I want to give this person the roses while they are here and say, yes, this person is great. Yes, this person is motivational. Yes, this person has a way with words and they could impact and they could change my life and so on. Tell me if that resonates with you, and if that perception of foreign is better, how can we try to change it?
So I would say there's value in foreign that we could look on and we could learn. But I also think that we have the talent here, we have that sense of workmanship that we too can produce our speakers,
Yeah.
our speakers who can impact this world, who can not only impact us here locally and regionally, but who can go out internationally. We have it. But I don't know if it's probably the algorithm that I am on, but I am not seeing it. I am not seeing those persons. I think for me the standout person from the Caribbean who was a motivational speaker, someone who had massive impact, was the deceased Miles Monroe.
Okay.
He is on the level of those who are on that international level. Outside of that, I'm not aware.
Yeah. And I mean, within the region, we were just talking about that. We have so much content creators,
Yeah.
right? That might be within, let's just say, I want to say what space that is. Like comedy space.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like the comedy space. So we have so much awesome, and it's a great industry where I see a lot of teamwork, a lot of stuff being fostered.
Yeah.
So it's great to look forward to the content from Kyle and from like Jamel and from Rudy and from
What's his name?
yeah, all those guys. I mean, right now is so much
Yeah.
that we are probably fans of.
Yeah.
But when it comes to more of the serious stuff, right? So, for example, I always brainstorm how to make like talking about finance more fun.
Right.
Or I'm always trying to brainstorm of how talking about sales becomes more fun.
Right.
Because these things are almost like, I want to say, not despised, but it's not everybody's favorite.
Right.
And it's almost like quick release syndrome. I mean, we look for the opportunities to have as much fun as possible. That is easier for us to respond to Bacchanal. And I'm not taking away anything from those guys who have
Of
been
course not.
really fantastic at building their craft. But I'm just saying that it's also on us to do as much research as possible, to market as best as possible, and communicate the message of what we are passionate about.
I agree.
Because that can move the needle for the persons who needs those skills, the motivation, the talent, the knowledge, all those things like that.
Yes. I agree with that. I mean, there's a space for comedy. We are a light-hearted people, which is good. However, there comes a time where the fun and laughter stops and life begins. What are you going to do when you cannot manage your finances? What are you going to do when you experience depression or some mental illness? Then what? And that is why we need this space. We need individuals stepping up to assist as best as they can to guide others in that direction. Because there are many persons who don't have a clue when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
And that is why you will see them just spending their money as they get paid. They go and do something that is not beneficial. There's no sense of investment. What are you doing to invest? How are you growing your money? Are you going to stay with one stream of income that is your salary? What happens if you are laid off? What happens if you has an injury or something and you cannot work? Let's say you are daily paid. How then do you support your family? So the comedy is great. However, we also need to focus on these important things: our finances, our mental health, our physical health.
Yeah.
These are the things that we also need to focus on.
Agreed. And somehow I feel like we've been cultured in such a reward system, right? So I always talk about this as well. We reward ourselves by enjoying ourselves, by as soon as your child do well,
Let's have a drink.
let's go and have some ice cream, let's go and
Yeah.
have some pizza, and so on. And it's natural for us to think that when we do well,
Yeah.
the reward is to spend
Right.
on like an expense, not necessarily something that would add significant value. And when I mean significant value, not that it's not good to have fun and to reward yourself,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about how much do you reward your knowledge, your mindset, your assets, different things that would propel you into the future.
Yeah.
So I did a quote and somebody was like, I should coin it. I can't remember it right now, but it was like, you bought brand new shoes last month, but you have the mindset you bought 20 years ago. And it's just that we get so stuck, like, you talk to somebody who might be 20 years older now, but they still with the same mindset that they had in secondary school.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have failed to develop themselves
Yes.
and to go through a process of personal self development.
Yes.
So, how do we work on it?
That's something that is very interesting. I think what we need to do is show the value of personal development. We need to express more on what is personal development and also to show that value.
Yeah.
That value that you has as an individual, what you can do for yourself and also what you can do for your family, your offsprings, the legacy that you are creating as an individual.
Yeah.
It isn't simply about instant gratification that I am just going to focus on what I can do, what I can get now, and the pleasure in the short term. But I'm also going to look at down the road. I am looking about building my family, creating that legacy.
Yeah.
So that if I'm a father, if I'm a mother, what foundation am I laying for the next generation? That is personal development.
Yeah.
So personal development does not stop with the individual. Personal development goes further into generations.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's a scripture I love to quote, which is, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Right.
And so, how people spend from their pocketbook dictates what is on their mind. So sometimes you'll see somebody will spend, I don't know, they'll spend tons of money on a party, on a fete, on sneakers, on clothes, on recreation, on travel.
We just had carnival, mostly that's of the costume.
10,000 on a costume, but when, let's just say, it's school time now, but why these notebooks are this price? The price of copybooks and pencils shouldn't go up. And I mean, we might laugh at it in context, but these are serious conversations that we sometimes hear. Like,
Yeah.
people talk about, well, school fees going up. No, I do agree that cost of living has been going through the roof
Skyrocketing.
and things have been going up. But you also need to understand what your treasure is.
Yes.
So I would see persons, they make a certain type of salary, they spend. If I tell them, here what, even if it's free and I say come and spend time or take a look at one of my videos, learn about finances,
Right.
basics of finances and funding, how much time would they take to sacrifice to do that? Or if I say, all right, I have a paid event, then why is the price an issue if it's a problem that you're trying to solve? Because what it is that you're saying is that it's not a problem for you to keep on spending on the recreation and the food and the parties and the Friday night lime and so on, but it's a problem for you to fix an issue that you know that you have.
Yeah.
So the majority of people say, I don't make enough money, I can't cover my bills, I live in paycheck to paycheck, and so on. Well, how do we address that, right? And the same thing in your case, people might be like my self-esteem is low, I don't feel up to thing. But when you say, all right, cool, I have a workaround, we could fix this, then when they hear the price, that's where the issue is.
Right.
We realize that they are not so serious about the change that they wanted. And there's a lot of people who right now are giving away free stuff. And I have no problem giving away free stuff. I mean, a lot of content is valuable.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes there's a point where you're doing persons a disservice when you give it to them for free. Certain things you give it to them for free.
I agree.
And I always liken this to, let's just say you go into the pharmacy and the pharmacist say, all right, you need to take this by this by this. You might consider it and think about it, but that's a pharmacist, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, because the doctor's fee is in your mind, when the doctor write and say, all right, take three of this, three of this, three of this, somehow because you would have associated that payment of that fee to the doctor, you take that like prescription and you go and you get that sorted out and you make sure and you take your tablets in a disciplined way.
Yeah.
Because that is a cost of respect that is associated with it.
Yes.
So I just feel like persons may not visually see exactly what they are treasuring. And my question to some persons is like, well, yeah, I might have a little session, might be $200, $500, $300, whatever the price might be. But if you don't have it, don't even waste your time to say that this is something that you're working on to change.
Yeah.
Right? Because certain things in life, you just need to figure it out. You need to make a price to take things seriously. And I've told listen before, there's certain things I wanted to learn, and the way that I learned is I paid the price.
Right.
I paid the price. So how do we increase the way that people see pricing and paying a price or making a sacrifice to get the actual change that we want?
That's interesting. One of my mentors, he said that depending on what you pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. If you purchase something, and I have experienced it. Let me use myself as an example.
Yeah.
I have purchased courses, and they have cost, let's say, $99. But I haven't really paid much attention to it. I mean, I've started it, and I just never got around to it. But the courses that I paid thousands of dollars for, those were the ones that I paid attention to. Because you know what? I invested a larger sum of money.
Yeah.
And that is what happens with I guess, in general, in the human psyche. That if we pay little, then there isn't much reward to it. But if we pay much more, we know that we are investing. But more importantly, we are investing within ourselves. And that is how persons need to look at things. That you are investing in yourself. You are making yourself better. You are proofing yourself against recession proofing.
Yeah.
And that is so important that we take that time to invest in ourselves. There's a saying that you can take a horse to the river, but you can't make him or her drink. But you know what you can do? You can feed it salt. Simply means put them in such a position where they will see the need for water.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a student of psychology, I know that we mentioned this in passing probably in a previous conversation, but our society is highly wired to this lottery system, to this lottery syndrome. And I remember I always talk about this for years, even from like my banking experience. I'll be like, have you ever noticed that in the wealthy areas, there's no lottery booths in abundance? I mean, sometimes there's none. But somehow in certain places, you might see 5, 6, 10, 15 in a short space. And we see over the years where more and more persons have wired their mind to say, for me to get out of where I am, it will take luck. Right? And they don't understand what they are psychologically doing to themselves. But I know that you could go a little bit deeper in terms of what's happening, what they are telling themselves when they only tell themselves that I need to be lucky for this thing to work out.
So I would look at it from the perspective of it's that dopamine hit. It is about that pleasure. So you don't you may tell yourself that you have a chance to win. And it is that chance that hey, there's this possibility that I can win, and that keeps me returning. And that is what happens with gamblers. Because you may win once, but you would lose 15, 20 times before you win again. But it's that dopamine.
Yeah.
So we are attracted to the instant gratification. We tell ourselves that we may hit that jackpot at some point in time. And that is what keeps us returning. Because what we are doing when we take that approach is we are not dealing with reality.
Yeah.
We are trying to escape reality and thinking that, you know what? Let me try this rather than investing in myself, putting in that work, trying to develop who I am so it would make me much more valuable in the market. That is way harder than just taking money out of my pocket and going by the boot and hoping that I win 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. You were saying that there now, and something came back to me. I could tell when somebody's serious if I ask them to one thing, go and put pen to paper, go and write a plan, go and do this, go and sit down, put some pen to paper, tell me exactly what you want to do. And the craziest thing is that 99% of them would never put pen to paper. So one of the tests that I have, like to really see if somebody's serious, like you want to start this business, you want to get coached for this, go and put some pen to paper, write down 4 things or 5 things that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And come back to me. You wouldn't believe the distance, the delay. They wouldn't get back to me unless I follow up with them. And that's just how I just test how serious that people are about change.
Yeah. I think what tends to happen is we often look for the easy way out. I think there's this quote by Henry Ford that says that one of the hardest thing to do is thinking. And well, I came across this in while studying psychology, that when you think, you utilize a lot of energy. You burn a lot. It is almost as if you are doing something that is really physically intense. And the human brain is naturally lazy, you know. We don't want to think. And that is why we develop habits.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be thinking on how to tie my lesson. I don't want to be thinking on how to brush my teeth. I just simply want to do it on automatic. And that is what the brain does. The more we repeat something, it goes into automatic mode, and we never have to think about doing it. When you give someone a task to write out something that is beneficial to them, they have to sit and think.
Yeah.
I don't want to think.
Yeah.
When I get home, I just want to sit down in front of the TV or pull out my phone and scroll.
Yeah.
Why think? Nah, thinking is hard work.
Yeah. And again, like the Bible speaks a lot about wisdom and knowledge and so on and stuff like that. And Solomon said that wisdom is the principal thing. And in the Bible, there's a lot of stuff. There's actually a passage that speaks about wisdom is better than strength. So the ability for persons to think and understand and use knowledge as a tool is much more important than the physicality of the discipline and the strength and all those things. Because we talk about some people might be working hard, but the hard work isn't going anywhere. Because they aren't thinking about even like the direction that they're working in.
Correct.
So I would watch at it and be like, all right, well, your goal is this way. But right now you're working really hard going this way, right? But they can't see it because they've trapped themselves in this hard work because they don't want to think.
Mm.
So it's a fantastic conversation to be had.
I agree. And I liken that to leadership. In that, if there's one leader, this one leader can incentivize, can motivate those who he or she is leading to accomplish a task. The task, once given the direction, those who are following can accomplish it. But it takes that individual to think on how to get this, how to accomplish this task.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I can see why wisdom is much more, should I say, important or much more powerful than the physicality. It's necessary to have that physical, that dexterity, that physical strength. That is also very important because you need that to support wisdom. Because let's say in the event of crisis, we can only have thinkers. We need those who are doers who are going to put in that work.
Yeah.
So it's that yin and yang. We need each other. We need the thinker and we need the person who is actually going to do that work.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've recently adopted. It's not either or, it's and.
Yeah.
We need the wisdom. We also need that physical strength.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So I want you to, for the age group, maybe between, I don't know, 20 to about 40, what motivational item would you want to leave with them in terms of 2025 and beyond? What you want to say to the younger generation or to the generation who has the most amount of energy available to them to do what it is that they need to do?
This is something that I wish someone would have told me when I was in my teenage years into my early 20s. Focus on getting to know who you are. Begin that process to uncover that person that lies within you. Discover what makes you click. What are your values? Get to know you. And in getting to know you, you are going to be pointed in the direction of where you want to go in life. I think that's, for me, one of the most important things. And this isn't something that is just done at one time and never returned to. This is something that is continuous.
Yeah.
But if you start now, at whatever age, at this young age, then it is going to become a habit. And you are going to continue doing it.
Yeah.
Like only yesterday, I saw a short video interview of Beyonce's mom. She's 71. And she said that she's now getting to know who she really is. 71. It's never too late. Today is all we have.
Yeah.
So don't put it off for tomorrow or next week. Start today. Get to know who you are.
So get to know who you are. And another question that I would have is, because the society today is so hung up on validation of others, right? So, for example, I go to my friends and I tell them, this is who I am, this is my goal, and they go and they say, you're crazy,
Yeah.
right? that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And now I go into a shell because I feel like I'm I'm the outlier, and I need to now conform my personality and my goals to that of my friends and those within my society. And I see that happening over and over, where somebody might have an idea and somebody just aimlessly shoot it down because they have no clue about the personality or about the direction. Tell me this: how do we build the level of strength that we could exist in society and communicate without necessarily needing specific validation of it?
Because we are social creatures, we tend to congregate. We want to fit in. We want to belong. On the surface level, we are all similar. We have similar needs and probably goals. But on the deeper level, we are similar, but yet still we are different.
Yeah.
It is important and necessary to know that you have value within you, that you are important. I shouldn't say that well, I can't say that you shouldn't seek validation outside, but what I would say is value who you are. And you mentioned something that if someone would have or has an idea to do something and they go out and they share that and they get shut down. Here's my suggestion, and this is based on my experience. When I first said that I wanted to become a soldier, there were persons who laughed. And I guess they saw it as being impossible for me.
Yeah.
But do you know that that was my greatest motivation? Tell me I can't do something, or have that impression, or give me that impression that it is impossible for me. And I am going to use that as fuel to fire me to achieve that thing that I am setting out to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shouldn't be that you're dependent on that, but use it. And the other thing is, I'm not a doctor. You want to become a doctor. Can I advise you on becoming a doctor? I may tell you, why you want to become a doctor? That's 7 years of studying and it's stressful. Why you want to do something like that? That is because that is not my experience. I have absolutely no experience in medicine.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you about it. And likewise, persons may go to others with the idea that they may have of becoming an entrepreneur, of starting their business. And this other person may tell them, why are you going to do that? 95% of businesses fail. Does this person have a business? You know who isn't going to tell you that? Someone who's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Someone who has a business. So don't share, or I suggest that you don't share your ideas with those who are not on that journey.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with persons who are on that similar journey with you. And it doesn't have to be someone who you're meeting in person. Most of my mentors have no clue that I exist. But I study them.
Yeah.
I study the content that they put out. And I learn from them. Those are the people who I will listen to.
Yeah.
Because they are walking that path. Why should I listen to someone who has an employee mindset and I have that drive within me to become an entrepreneur?
Love it. Right. So to close off here, right? Let's find a place to land, right?
Sure, let's land and play, man. Oh, this was enjoyable.
Yeah. I always mention that the greatest basketballer has a coach. The greatest footballer has a coach. The greatest weightlifter has a coach.
Man, you read my mind.
Right? So, heading into your field, the majority of persons seem to believe that they have what it takes within themselves, so they have the knowledge to go where they want to be, yet they're not there. Most times, years pass, they're still not there. How would you advise persons? And I want to say it plain that getting a coach or getting a mentor or getting a fast track person that is ahead of you, getting a sponsor, however that we want to phrase it, somebody who's in a direction that they can help you, they can point you in the right direction, they could coach you, they could mentor you. How do you explain to persons that that is the genuine fast track to speeding up your journey?
There's this cliche that says, don't recreate the wheel. And I think that is what a lot of people do. We think that we can do it on our own. I too have that mindset. I believe that, hey, if you figure it out, I can figure it out just the same. But what if you have been down that road already? And I could learn from you. I could learn from your mistakes. I don't need to repeat the same mistakes that you made. Then I could make new mistakes. And now I could go even further because I'm based on your knowledge, your wisdom. So in that sense, you would be my mentor. A coach on the other hand, in regard to why persons often have this idea of where they want to go, but years pass and they remain in the same place. A coach in that sense comes in and helps you clarify where you want to go. I initially thought that coaching was giving advice, only to come to the understanding that coaching is about helping you clarify where you want to go. Because if you are not where you want to be, 5 years has passed, a decade has passed, and you are not there yet, then there's something that isn't clear. So a coach asks the right questions so that you could clarify in your mind what exactly you want to accomplish, where exactly you want to go. Because a ship without any direction would become shipwrecked one day. If you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there.
Yeah, agreed. Right, so I want to go one more.
All right.
One more. There's this thing, I used to say it, I used to meditate on this, right? Now, picture this story here.
All right.
One person is there scratching two stones together to light a fire.
Right.
And most times, everybody's with their two stones scratching and trying to create a fire. One person gets the fire lit. There's smoke, it starts to spark.
Right.
He starts to heap some little fragile shavings, dust thing to get the fire going. Other persons see the fire going, but they don't come to help. Right? They continue to scratch their stone together. And the point that I'm trying to make is that on the higher levels, right, the higher levels of I want to say, understanding.
Yeah.
We see where council and I want to say, let let's just say people actually work together
Yeah.
and grow because of it. But there's this stage where there's such a selfish mindset
Mm.
that is prevalent when I want to say that you might be hungry, you might be starved, you might be trying to figure things out, and you might be so blinded that you neglect to see that somebody has a blazing fire,
Right.
but you are there with two stones rubbing it together to get your fire going. So I want to say that you could join in with somebody's fire,
Yeah.
and then that person could give you a whole log full of fire that you could attach to your own
Yes.
pile
Yeah.
and grow your business and do what it is that you want to do. But sometimes it means that you need to collaborate.
Yes.
And there's a saying that when you compete, you don't get to collaborate. And I've seen it. Sometimes you see two students in school, they button heads, but one is gifted this way, and the other is gifted this way. They're both trying to beat each other, not knowing that where they are strong is the other's weakness.
Yeah.
And they can easily collaborate and fix each other's blind spots. And I just feel like we have people who are in primary school where it comes to being leaders, being business persons, where they are still in that self mode. Fires are blazing all over the place, and they're rubbing two stones together still. Tell me what your thoughts are.
I think it's because of indoctrination. We are indoctrinated into a system that is primarily based on competing. From school, we compete to get the highest marks. And that competition continues on after we leave school, university, into our adult life. And competition is good. So it isn't all bad because competition adds to excellence, adds to growth.
Yeah.
However, there's a line in competition where you are tapping into that sense of lack. That there is only enough for me and not enough for it to be shared around. And it is that lack, that sense of lack of a mindset that causes persons to continue to compete. And when they climb that ladder, they push it down so others can't follow. But I have learned that collaborating actually takes you further. As a leader, there's only so much I can do. But if I collaborate with persons who I have that responsibility to lead, then we could achieve much more.
Yeah.
So it is that collaborative mindset that there is more, there's an abundance that can be shared around. That is what is needed or required to tap into. And just to tie it back to that observation you made with the comedians down here, you see them collaborating.
100%.
And that is the mindset that we need for progress. It is not about competing. Compete only to improve standards, but collaborate to truly build whatever organization or whatever system that you are engineering.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? So sorry that this has to come to an
Man,
end.
this was good.
So I know that we'll definitely have another session,
Definitely.
but fantastic. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
So
did too.
thanks for being here,
It was a
and I'm
pleasure.
looking forward to the next one. Thanks again, Kanu.
It was a pleasure.